All right. So in today's video, we are going to see a couple of key components of Microsoft Excel and Google Sheets. So basically, the components that I'm talking about are the ones which you see on the screen right now. These are the key components I would say which you will require while you're working with functions and formulas. So let me start off with the first one. So that is equal to. So whenever you're writing any formula or function, it always starts with an equal sign. Let me give you an example. So let's say if I want to write a match function, equal to match. So this is how it is going to be. Become aware, whatever functions and formulas you're using, it always starts with an equal sign. The second is the function name. Now, the function names can be with or without arguments. We will come to the arguments later. So, function name is, let's say, there are a couple of functions which don't require any arguments. For example, if I have to use the function named today, so it just has open and close parentheses and it will give you today's date. Similarly, there's another function which says now. You just have to open and close parentheses and it gives you the date along with the time. So there are a couple of other functions where you don't require arguments as such. Otherwise, majority of the functions would require arguments. Second pointer that we have is function names are not necessarily case sensitive. So it's okay even if you write it in lowercase or uppercase, it doesn't matter. So let me start the match function with the lowercase. When you click on a tab, it by default takes the uppercase. So that is absolutely fine. The third point that we have is it can be written both in uppercase and lowercase. So like I said, as soon as you write the function match function, it doesn't matter. So it is not that case sensitive that if you write in the lowercase, it will not take the function or it will not validate the function. Great. So let's move to the another. It is arguments. Okay. So what are arguments? Again, let me pick up the match function for you. So it is equal to match. Now, all those things which you see over here, that is in between the comma, are basically the arguments. So the arguments are basically the conditions that you put in a formula to get a desired result, right? So anything that you see in between the two parentheses over here, they are all known as arguments. So it is very important for you to understand whenever you're working with formulas, you should be very aware of all the arguments that happens or that contains within the formula, right? Okay. Moving further, parentheses. Okay. So when you work with any formula, the formula opens up and closes with a round bracket is what you can see over here. So any formula you take, it opens and closes with a round bracket. And these round brackets are known as parentheses. So in Excel terms, when you add or when you start writing up a formula, it is known as open parentheses and close parentheses. Great. Let's move to another one, that is square brackets. Okay. Again, let me take the same function, that is match. Okay. Now, if you carefully see over here, you have your open parentheses, you have your arguments, and the last argument which you see over here, it is mentioned within square brackets. So if there is any argument that is mentioned within square brackets, please take a note, it is optional. It is not mandate that you have to add a value over there. It is just an optional value that it is up to you. It's your choice. You can add it or you can ignore it. So here in this function, lookup value and lookup array are the key arguments. The last argument, that is match type, is actually an optional one. Great. I hope that makes more sense. Double quotation marks. Right. So double quotation marks is basically used within any formula to define a text string. We will go through this particular double quotation marks. We will understand more about it while in further videos. But right now, please keep in mind that double quotation marks are basically used to identify text strings. What is a syntax? Okay, great. So now, let me take another formula, that is VLOOKUP. Okay. So everything, for example, in this VLOOKUP, everything that you see along with the equal to sign is known as syntax for any function. So let's say here, if you see on the lookup value, you have VLOOKUP, the lookup value, the table array, the column index, and the range. So range is basically an optional one. Range lookup is basically an optional function over here. So everything that you see after equal to, along with the formula, that is the function name, pardon me, everything that you see after equal to, along with the function name and the arguments, are known as syntax. I hope that makes more sense. The next one is array. So array is nothing but a collection of items. It can be text or it can be numbers in a single row or a column, or it can be in multiple rows or columns. So let me just give you an example of an array, how it can be. Okay, so here I have a hypothetical data of names and email IDs and phone numbers and stuff. So just to give an example, the column A is actually an array of text. Similarly, column A and B again can be called as an array. Similarly, column E, column G, column H, column I, they are all known as arrays. Okay, I hope that makes sense. The last, but as per me, is the most important aspect of when you're working with formulas, that is cell references. So ideally there are two kinds of cell references. One is your fixed reference and one is your relative references. So fixed references is, so by default, so when you're working with excels and google sheets, by default the cell references are relative. That is, the cell references moves to other rows and columns based on the formula. Okay, as you extend the formula to another row or a column, the cell references will move along with the formula. Now, the simple trick over here is you can fix your cell references using a dollar sign. Okay, for that, let me help you with these examples. So fixed references is nothing but you can fix the rows and columns all together at one shot. Secondly is relative references. So there are different cases when you're working with relative references. Let me help you with the examples to understand the cell references in a better manner. So here we are going to have the multiplications of 2, 3, and 4. These are the basic calculations that we have done in our in the maths. All right. So in column C, what we need to do is we need to find the multiples of the value 2. Okay. So we'll do a very simple math, that is A2 multiplied by B2. Right. So it gives us an answer 2. That is absolutely correct. So ideally what should happen is when we are dragging this bottom right button downwards, it should help me with all the multiples of 2. All right. So let's do it. Okay, double click, and there are a couple of values in front of us, but we know that these values are not the correct multiples of 2. So what has went wrong here? Okay, what we can see is as soon as the formula moves down the line, the references are changing. That is the reason we have not received, or we have not got the desired result. Okay, so in this case what we need to do is we need to fix the cell A2, because we are here in column C, we are finding the multiples of 2. So we need to fix the cell A2. So let's do that. All you need to do is you need to go to the formula and you need to press F4. So what F4 does is it fixes your cell A2 again.
Now the formula is moving down the line, so it is moving across the column B. It is not moving across the row. That is, it doesn't go to B, C, D, E, F, or G, right? It is moving down the line in B. So what we can do is we need to fix the column B. All you need to do is you need to add a dollar sign in front of B. So what it does is it fixes the column B. Now it won't move to any other column A or C or D or E or any further columns, right? Now what we can do is we can double click on the bottom right button and it will help you with the desired result. All right. Moving further, while calculating multiples of 3 and 4, all you need to do is you can drag it over here. Now because we have fixed the B over here, it follows in further formulas, right? I mean, follows the further rows. All we need to change here is we need to change the cell reference A3 and A4 as we move further. All right, so let's do it here. All we need to do is just change 2 to 3. Okay, and it does work for us. And when you double click over here, you will get all the desired result, that is multiples of 3. And now even here, when you calculate the multiples of 4, all you need to do is you need to fix, or you need to change the cell reference, that is A4. A4, right? And double click on the bottom right button and it will give you the multiples of 4. Okay, so just to brief you, what we have done over here is we have fixed the cell reference that we need to calculate the multiples of 2, 3, and 4, and we have kept column B as relative reference. That is, we have only fixed the column B. If you move down the line, you see the cells in B changing. That is B2, B3, B4, and keeps on going further. Right? Same thing happens when you calculate the multiples of 3. It keeps on changing further. Right? So these are the good examples of relative reference, fixed references, and relative references. Okay, so let's quickly recap about all the key components that we went through this entire video. The first one is equal to sign. So you need to remember that every function or formula starts with an equal sign. The next is the function name. So basically, the function name is very important. Functions can be with or without arguments. In the initial phase of this video, we saw examples of two different functions which didn't require arguments. Functions can be or it cannot be case sensitive, so it doesn't really matter. Arguments are everything that you have written within the parentheses. It's basically all the conditions that is used in the formula to get the desired output. Parenthesis is nothing but the round brackets that you have immediately after the function name. Square brackets, so any arguments in the function name which is surrounded by square brackets are basically optional. Double quotation marks is basically used to identify text strings. Syntaxes are nothing but uh, everything that includes in a formula, starting from the equal sign, the function name, the arguments are there within the formula, everything. Array is basically the collection of text or numbers in a single row or in multiple rows or columns. And the last we discussed were about cell references. So there are majorly two types of references. One is fixed reference and the second one is relative references. You can always look into the example that we discussed just a couple of minutes back, which will help you to understand the fixed and relative references better. Keep learning, keep practicing. Please like and subscribe the videos and share it with all of them whom you feel are in need of it. Don't forget to press the bell icon so that you remain updated about all the upcoming videos.